Hello, and welcome to What's the Tea in L&E. I'm Emily.
And I'm Leah.
Happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
Woo!
In honor of the love holiday, we are talking about what are commonly referred to as love contracts at work.
Love contracts, baby, love contracts. I had to do that. She wouldn't let me do that, but we're doing it. I'm doing it for you guys.
For the audience.
All right. What is a love contract? Okay, it's not an actual contract in the workplace, right? You as an employer, you're not going to force your employees to stay in a relationship or situationship or whatever ship forever. No, this is actually a disclaimer that protects you. Okay, so think of it as you've got two employees who are in a relationship consensually. It's of a romantic nature, and you want to make sure you're having them disclaim that they are in a consensual relationship. And why is that?
Well, it's super important because quid pro quo claims or sexual harassment claims generally can often arise out of what were at one time consensual relationships, but things can often change.
Yes, sometimes once a relationship ends, one person may continue to pursue the other person, and at that point, it's no longer consensual. It's now unwelcome harassment. Okay, and we've actually dealt with this in a lot of cases.
Yes.
I had a case, for instance, where an employer didn't necessarily have a love contract or a disclaimer in place, but we were able to prove a woman was claiming that she experienced sexual harassment by her manager in the workplace. But we were able to prove that some of these allegations were really not unwelcome at the time they took place, because there were pictures of her on the back of his motorcycle, of them having fun at a winery. There were text messages, lovey-dovey comments on Teams, all of those things. And so we were able, sort of as a defense, to siphon off that during this time period, this was not sexual harassment, and we could siphon that off in the employer's benefit. But then you are still looking at the conduct post-breakup, okay? So you definitely want to make sure you have these disclaimers in place, because you never know. As much as we here believe at What's the Tea that love is really forever, we know that's not always the case with relationships.
Yes, yeah. So the other important reason to have these disclaimers on hand is that, romantic relationships in the workplace can create an actual conflict of interest or even just a perceived conflict of interest. And that can really hurt employee morale if other employees think they're being treated unfairly or someone is getting an advantage because of a relationship in the workplace.
Yeah, and other employees may not want to see PDA in the workplace as well. That could certainly hurt your operations.
Yes.
So definitely make sure you consider a, quote, love contract. And what is in that may depend on the actual circumstances of the relationship, right? Whether if you've got one person who's superior to another in terms of the hierarchy of the organization, you might have to address in that disclaimer an overview of a new reporting structure to make sure you address those perceived conflicts of interest that Emily's talking about. And you also want to include an overview of your relevant policies, comments about no PDA, and have them sign off on that. Also an overview of here's the harassment reporting procedure. So that they know that you can always say, if something goes awry, you can always say, no, they knew at any point, and they even signed off on it, not in their employee handbook and not just at hire, but also when we presented this disclaimer to them.
Absolutely. Well, hope you had a wonderful Valentine's Day, and we'll see you next time for more What's the Tea?